Last week I talked about the worst purchases you can make in your 20s. In this video I'm going to show you all the best purchases you can make in your 20s to put you years ahead of all your competition. And this isn't just some ChatGPT generated list, I personally done every single one of these myself. And stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to show you an investment that I promise you is going to outperform every single one of these finance gurus. So one of the best things you can do in your 20s is hitting that subscribe button because I'm making videos every week helping you improve your finances. But on a real note, a lot of young people aren't worried about their finances because they're not thinking about getting married or having kids yet. But you can set yourself up for a life of freedom while also still having fun at the same time. Alright, the very first thing that you need to do before you get into anything else on this list is pay off your high interest credit cards. I'll show you how to use credit cards the right way later in this video, but if you have fallen into credit card debt, you got to get out of it as soon as possible. Don't worry about putting any money in stock markets or any other investments before you do this. So the first best purchase you can make while you're young, in my opinion, is reliable transportation. I touched on this a little bit in my last video, but I really don't think riding a bike or walking is a productive use of time. Sure, you're saving a couple bucks on insurance and maybe a car payment, but you got to think of the opportunity cost of those couple hours wasted. When I was 16, I got my very first car, and this allowed me to drive to different jobs and make a lot more money than a lot of other high school students. So if you're looking for a reliable car, I'd suggest getting a used car, one that's 3 to 4 years old. A brand new car usually loses 10% of its value as soon as you drive it off the lot. And if you need to finance a car, I'd recommend going by the 24-10 rule. This rule states that you should have at least 20% of the down payment, keep your loan term to 4 years or less, and spend 10% less of your monthly income on your car's expenses. So to give an example for someone that's earning $50,000 a year and buying a $20,000 car, you would want at least a down payment of $4,000, a term of 4 years or less, so you'd be financing that $16,000. And the reason for this is you want to keep the total amount of appreciation you're paying pretty low. And then if you're making $50,000 a year, to not have the total expenses exceed $417, and that includes all the loan payments, insurance, fuel, maintenance, and repairs. Now this is pretty conservative, so you can spend a little bit more on a car if you really want to, but I just see way too many of my friends driving expensive, fancy cars to try to show off, but then to keep up with that loan and their insurance, they have to work a job that they don't really want to with too many hours, and then they just get stuck in that rat race. Leading me on to the second best purchase you can make in your 20s, which is travel. Now this is a little bit more controversial, but the amount of value that you can get from visiting different cultures and meeting different people is priceless. When I was 16, I drove an electric car, and every single day I'd go to the gym, and there's a little charging station that I'd sit at while I charge it. And while I was there one day, an older gentleman named RJ pulled up next to me and we started talking. And turns out this guy actually made a bunch of different money from different business affairs, and he eventually became a mentor of mine and was a big inspiration for me starting this channel. But one of the first things he told me is to set aside some money for travel. He told me that going around the world and visiting different cultures really helped him to start his first couple businesses, as well as giving him some great life experiences and stories to tell, which is where credit cards come into play. I talk a lot on this channel about credit cards and how they can help you travel the world for free. And when you're young, one of the best things you can do is get a credit card and start building credit. And at first I didn't think credit cards were good either. I saw my parents get into a lot of credit card debt, and I was always told credits were a thing to avoid. You really can't avoid having to buy stuff on credit. Whenever you choose to buy a house, you're going to have to get a mortgage, and you're going to need a good credit score for that. And there are a lot of credit cards out there that will give you a bunch of points for buying stuff that you're going to buy anyways, so you might as well buy them with a credit card. And also there's a bunch of sign-up bonuses that you can hit to give you a bunch of extra points so you can travel the world for free. Now a couple guidelines for credit cards is make sure you're only spending what you normally do to hit these sign-up bonuses, and also make sure to pay your credit cards in full every month. All the credit card apps nowadays have a feature where you can just set up automatic payments so you don't have to worry about getting behind. If you're brand new to credit cards, I'd recommend US Bank's Cash Plus Secured card, or if you're still a student, you can get something like the Discover Student Card, which is my first card. The third best purchase you can make while you're young is investing in a good gym. Now a lot of times we look at older wealthy people and we see all the cool things they're doing on social media and we really want their life, but the truth is that all those people would give up all their money just to be young again like us. And obviously you want to make sure you're taking care of your health while you're young, and going to a gym is the best place to do this. This is a little bit more controversial, but I'm against home gyms because when you're at home it's too easy to get distracted and go back in the house and cut off your workout short, while if you're at the gym you've already drove or walked there and the only thing you can do while you're there is work out. There's also other people there you can talk to. It's a lot better environment to push yourself. And also I'd pay an extra $20 or $30 or even $50 to go to a nice gym because this is a place you're going to be at for hours every single week, and you want to make sure that you're actually going to enjoy being there. I see a lot of my friends get a membership at like a Planet Fitness and then they don't even end up going because they don't like being there. And at a nicer gym you're going to be able to network with a lot of older, wealthier people. I can't even tell you the amount of business owners and really successful people that I've met through the gym. Now the fourth best purchase you can make in your 20s is to invest in your side hustle. Now the word side hustle is thrown around the internet way too much, and instead of calling it a side hustle, just call it a business. I know a lot of my friends that have started YouTube don't really have the best equipment, and it doesn't even take that much money, but if they were to just invest in a better background and some lighting, they'd get way better views. I know as soon as I got a little bit better gear, my views on YouTube tripled. The fifth best purchase you can make while you're young is investing in a solid index fund. To show you just how much money you can make, if you put in $200 a month, after 30 years, you'll have $271,000 saved up. But Daniel, I want to be a millionaire while I'm young. And that's fine. Most rich people didn't make millions by investing in an index fund. But it's about the habit of building this investment at a young age. If you're not going to put in $5 when you're making $100 a day, you're not going to put in $500 when you're making $10,000 a day. If you're thinking really long term, it's a good idea to put your money in a Roth IRA. You might have heard about this before, and that's because it's a really powerful investment tool. In fact, it's so powerful you're capped at how much you can put in it. And that's because your invested cash is going to grow tax-free as long as you have it in there. Well, if you just put your money in a normal index fund, you're going to have 15% capital gain taxes. Just keep in mind there's a penalty if you pull it out before 59, so this is going to have to be a really long-term investment. Leading us on to the last and the best investment on this list is investing in yourself. Now, I know that sounds corny, but just hear me out. You can get all the cash back in the world from credit cards and make 8% from index funds all day long, but the best way to make more money is increasing your ability to make more money. And to do this, you're going to have to invest money in yourself. Now, I know a lot of you think TikTok's a good place to get new information from, but you're going to get the best value from long-form content. This means reading full books, watching full podcasts, and taking courses. And I'm not talking about taking some influencer's course or joining Hustlers University. There's a lot of free online courses on YouTube, and I think on Skillshare, which is like $15 a month, you can learn pretty much anything. Some of my favorite books that I've learned the most from is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, Atomic Habits by James Clear, and then Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. When I was 16, one of my first jobs was washing dishes at a restaurant, and I hated this job. I had to get up super early, my hands were all crinkly, so I was just in the back sweating washing dishes for 8 hours a day. And one of those days, I'm not even sure why, I put on the audiobook Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that changed my whole view of work and got me into entrepreneurship in the first place. You can also get a lot of value from free podcasts. I personally really like the Andrew Huberman podcast, but there's a lot more out there on pretty much anything you want to know about. If you made it this far in the video, you might as well subscribe, and make sure you go check out my other video on the worst purchases you can make in your 20s. Feel free to comment anything that I missed or got wrong in this video.